Josh Allen heard the noise. He felt the weight. And when this team needed a spark, he didn't wait around for someone else to light the match. He reached for the cape. That version of Josh Allen, the one that takes over and forces the game to bend to his will, might be the exact one we see walk into Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Monday night. Because after what happened against New England, there's no more room for misfires or miscommunication. The urgency is real. The frustration is visible. And when Allen starts feeling that pressure, we usually see one of two things: a quarterback unraveling or a quarterback unleashing hell. And from the sound of it, he's leaning into the second one, coming off a sloppy, disappointing loss at home to a division rival. The kind of loss that stings deeper because of how preventable it felt. The Bills know they have to respond, not just for the standings, but for themselves. Because last week wasn't about talent. It wasn't about injuries. It was about attitude. It was about letting a lesser team control the tone inside your own house. And head coach Sean McDermott put it bluntly: they played the game New England wanted. That can't happen again. Not to this group. Not with this kind of roster. Not with Josh Allen under center. The matchup against the Falcons might not scream danger on paper, but this Atlanta team has weapons. Bijan Robinson is explosive. Drake London is a problem in space. And while the passing attack isn't exactly high-powered, it's efficient enough to frustrate you if you let it. But this game isn't about Atlanta. This is about how Buffalo responds. And for that, we have to start with number 17. Josh Allen was off last week. There's no sugarcoating it. 2 turnovers, including a questionable throw and a botched handoff that never should have been called, let alone executed. And while not all of that is on Allen, he shoulders the responsibility. Because he's not just the quarterback, he's the identity. When Josh is firing, the whole team feeds off it. When he's off, everything feels just a little out of sync. But history tells us something important here. Allen bounces back. He's 24-8 in games following a loss. And the signs point to a focused, angry, and more composed version showing up this time. Not the one trying to do everything himself from the second drive. The one that makes the right decisions, takes what's there, and then drops a hammer when it's time. And when the Falcons play man coverage, and they will, Allen's legs become a real weapon. He had 9 rushes last week, and with a bye coming up, don't be surprised if he leans even more on that part of his game. This isn't about stat padding. This is about moving the chains, setting the tone, and forcing Atlanta's defense to respect every inch of the field. He's not coming to play cautious. He's coming to take over. Now, if Allen's the engine, James Cook is the fuel that keeps things moving. And last week, that engine sputtered because Cook was barely used. 15 touches isn't going to cut it. Not when you have one of the most dynamic backs in the AFC. Not when your offensive line is playing at this level. And certainly not when the passing game is out of rhythm. There's a reason Cook looked frustrated on the sideline, bouncing on his toes, helmet strapped, waiting for his number to be called. The Bills need to give it to him. At least 20 touches. He doesn't need to be a workhorse, but he does need a rhythm. He needs to get into that flow that turns 5-yard gains into explosive plays. And look, no one wants to hear that the run game was taken away. If you have an elite line, a mobile quarterback, and a playmaker like Cook, then you force the run to work. That's what the best teams do. You don't wait for the perfect look. You punch them in the mouth with what you do best. Offensive coordinator Joe Brady got a little too cute against New England. The Jets sweep to Dawson Knox? No thanks. The trick plays? Not this team. That's not who they are. And maybe that's the lesson from last week. Stop trying to be clever and start trying to be effective. Let Allen be Allen. Let Cook be Cook. Stick to what you're built for. And then, if the defense gives you a shot downfield, take it. But don't force it. Because there's nothing more dangerous than Buffalo's offense when it's playing downhill, when it's building momentum with methodical strikes, and then ripping the top off when you least expect it. But of course, if the offense is going to shine, the defense has to hold up its end. And that starts with Shaq Lawson. The veteran linebacker has been one of the quiet leaders of this group, and his physicality could be a huge factor against Atlanta's run-heavy scheme. With Dorian Williams potentially returning, the rotation at linebacker gets stronger, but Shaq's role remains critical. He knows what's coming. He's played in this league long enough to recognize the patterns. And more importantly, He understands that the assignment isn't just to be in the right place. It's to make the tackle. Finish the play. Don't just show up, show out. The Bills have missed too many tackles this season. That has to stop now. Another name to watch closely, Christian Benford. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been elite either. And with Drake London likely to be the primary target for Atlanta's passing game, this is a huge test. Benford's strength is reading routes, anticipating moves, and closing space in the intermediate zone. That matches up well with London's style. If Benford can lock him down, or at least slow him, the Falcons will struggle to move the ball consistently through the air. And if that happens, the Bills can start to dictate tempo. And speaking of tempo, how about getting some help from the front four? Enter Ed Oliver. If he truly is back at 100%, and he told The Athletic he is, then he changes the equation up front. His presence in the interior line brings a disruptive energy that this team has sorely missed. He's a playmaker, a tone setter, and with several key defenders still sidelined or on injured reserve, getting Ed back might be one of the most important developments of the week. Buffalo needs someone to collapse the pocket, to blow up a screen, to hit the quarterback just as he releases it. That's Ed's game, and they need it more than ever. Now, the injuries have piled up. There's no getting around it. Matt Milano is still out. Damar Hamlin, IR, multiple rookies gone. The depth is being tested in ways this team didn't plan for. And while it's easy to make excuses, the reality is harsh. Nobody's coming to save them. No major defensive reinforcements were brought in this offseason. This is the group. And if they're going to survive, let alone thrive, they need to rise together. That starts Monday night. Because this isn't a panic moment. It's not a must-win game, but it is a measuring stick. It's a gut check. You lose 2 in a row, especially to teams you're expected to beat, and you limp into the bye with a whole lot of doubts swirling around the building. But if you bounce back, if you show the league that Buffalo's still got bite, then everything's still on the table. For all the talk about offense, the truth is this version of the Bills, the one trying to navigate through injuries and inconsistent play, desperately needs its defense to show up with attitude. Because while Josh Allen can carry a team, he can't carry a broken one. And lately, this defense has looked anything but elite. The numbers might suggest otherwise in certain categories, but if you've watched this team closely over the last few weeks, you know exactly where the cracks are forming. Missed tackles, breakdowns in communication, soft coverage at crucial moments. It all adds up. And in the National Football League, you don't get away with that for long. Not even against a middling offense like Atlanta's. It's been a strange year for this unit. They opened strong, flying to the ball, generating turnovers, and smothering opponents. But since the injuries started to pile up, everything's fell off. The rhythm, the swagger, the confidence, and most importantly, the physicality. That's what they need to rediscover in this matchup. An identity built around pressure, aggression, and smart, sound football. That's why getting guys like Shaq Lawson and Ed Oliver back in rhythm matters. It's not just about individual production. It's about leadership. It's about setting a tone that says, we are not getting bullied anymore. And this matchup presents that exact opportunity. The Falcons love to run the ball. They're not trying to beat you over the top with deep shots or vertical threats. They won't wear you down with physical drives, chew up clock, and hit their playmakers in space. Bijan Robinson isn't just a good back. He's a problem. He's patient, he's explosive, and he can hurt you in both the run and pass game. If the Bills don't play disciplined football, if they overcommit or miss tackles, he will make them pay. And then there's Kyle Pitts, still inconsistent, but physically gifted enough to flip a drive with one big catch. The assignment is simple on paper, but the execution? That's where the Bills have to rise. Shaq's role is bigger than it looks on the stat sheet. He's the one setting the edge, forcing runs back inside, cleaning up plays that could otherwise stretch for first downs. He's vocal. He's intense. And at 31, with over a decade of experience, he's the kind of veteran you lean on in games like this. His connection with McDermott goes back to Carolina, and that kind of trust matters. He's not just out there trying to make a roster. He's out there to stabilize a defense that needs stability more than ever. Against a team that's going to test you in the trenches, his presence is critical. And then there's Christian Benford, still growing, still learning, and still under the microscope. His play has been solid, but the expectations are higher now. The spotlight is brighter. With Trey Davies wide out, Benford has been asked to take on more responsibility, and now, with Drake London on the other side, this becomes a chance to prove something. London isn't an elite separator, but he's physical, tall, and great at winning contested catches. That means Benford will need to stay sharp on every rep. No guessing, no gambling. Just solid, smart coverage and consistent execution. If he can make London work for every yard, force a couple incompletions, and deny him on third downs, that alone could swing a couple of drives. What you don't want is Atlanta marching methodically downfield, 5 yards at a time, bleeding clock, and keeping Allen off the field. And that brings us back to Ed Oliver, the spark plug of this defensive line. His absence has been glaring, not just because of the splash plays he makes when he's right, tackles for loss, quarterback hits, backfield disruptions, but because of what he represents. He's the guy that fires up the sideline, the guy who gets the crowd going, even on the road. When he's playing fast and confident, everyone else feeds off that. And with all the other holes in this defense, that kind of energy is non-negotiable right now. Getting him back changes the structure of the defensive front. It allows the Bills to rotate more effectively, reduce the strain on the edges, and maybe, just maybe, get some consistent pressure without needing to blitz. Because the truth is, blitzing this Falcons team might be risky. Their quarterback thrives on rhythm throws, and when he's not pressured immediately, he can pick apart soft zones underneath. That's why winning with 4 up front is so important. That's why it matters so much. And let's talk about mentality. Too many times over the last few weeks, the Bills have played reactive defense, waiting to see what the offense is going to do, then adjusting on the fly. That's not how this unit was built. They were built to be aggressive, to dictate matchups, to force quarterbacks into mistakes. That identity has to come back. If that means bringing the safeties closer to the line, disguising coverages more often, or mixing up personnel mid-drive, so be it. But you can't just sit back and wait for Atlanta to beat themselves. Because they won't. They're not explosive, but they are clean. And if you give them space, they'll take it every time. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Josh Allen breaks his silence. Nobody on the roster wants him back at the Bills. The statement, dropped in what many are calling a shockwave moment for the NFL, has sent ripples through Buffalo and beyond. Sources close to the team suggest that behind the scenes, tensions have been simmering for months, but Allen's public comment makes it impossible to ignore. The cryptic remark, made during a private interview that somehow leaked to the press, hints at deeper issues within the locker room. For years, the Bills have been viewed as a model of stability in the AFC, with Allen's leadership widely praised. Yet, insiders claim that recent departures, strategic disagreements, and rumored personality clashes have left some players questioning the return of certain former teammates. While Allen didn't name names, the implication is clear. There's a divide between the coaching staff's plans and what the current roster feels is best for the team's future. Fans immediately took to social media, speculating on who Allen was referring to. Could this be about a former star whose last stint with the Bills ended controversially? Or is it a more subtle critique aimed at management's decisions? Analysts are divided, some suggesting that Allen's comments could be a calculated move to assert influence over off-season signings, while others see it as a candid glimpse into locker room dynamics that have long been kept private. The timing of Allen's statement also raises eyebrows. The Bills are heading into a critical phase of roster decisions, and his voice carries weight not just with fans but within the organization itself. Coaches reportedly held emergency meetings to address the media storm, though no official response has been released. Meanwhile, teammates have been spotted sidestepping questions in interviews, fueling speculation that Allen's words are the tip of an iceberg. If true, the implications for Buffalo could be significant. Losing key players or blocking returns that the organization might have hoped for could reshape the team's approach to the upcoming season. For now, the rumor mill is running at full speed, and one thing is certain. Josh Allen's words have ensured that no conversation about the Bills this offseason will be quiet. Whether this marks the start of a public feud or simply a candid airing of grievances, the NFL world will be watching closely. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.